What's growing on, gardeners? I truly hope that your answer to that question is better than my answer, because here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina, my answer is not all that much. I am truly having one of the worst ends to a growing season that I've ever had. Ever since late summer rolled in, I have had an absolutely horrid time growing things in my garden, and it has honestly been so demotivating that I just want to give up, because I have never been this burnout before. I truly want to take the rest of the season off and just pick things up next year and try and start fresh, because I am just totally out of gardening mode. Now, this isn't one of those gardening videos where I tell you that I want to quit and then I follow that up with a laundry list of reasons why we have so much to look forward to, and it's a really bad idea because you're wasting the best part of the growing season. No, I'm serious. This is not a clickbait title. I genuinely have never felt this way before, and I have genuinely never been this burnout. So what I'm hoping to accomplish with this video, I'm really hoping that you will stick with me, and I want to explain to you all of the trials that I have gone through with my garden this year and how I intend to pick up the pieces and regroup and try to make the best out of what's been largely a lost second half of the season. So I really hope you stick with me and you follow me on this little journey right here. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out my Amazon store and Spreadshop links in the video description for everything I use in my garden and awesome custom apparel and gear. One of the reasons why this growing season has been so disheartening and demotivating is it started off as one of the best years I've ever had. We had a near record dry and hot June, and because of that, my tomatoes were doing absolutely fantastic, putting out more fruits than ever before and looking better later into the season than ever before. And my fig trees started earlier than ever. My Smith fig tree had the season of its life. It was putting out absolutely incredible yields of figs, and they were the best quality figs I've ever been able to grow here in North Carolina, thanks to the hot, dry weather. Everything was going so incredibly well until the first week of July. Once the calendar turned over to July, it was like the floodgates opened. We have had 42 inches of rain since the first week of July here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina, and that absolutely killed most of my vegetable garden. It killed all of my tomatoes, it killed my cucumbers, it killed my squash, which is a shame because up until then I was having the best year ever with all of those crops. Then the tropical storms started. We have gotten 3 tropical storms in the past month and a half. So the torrential rains and the winds have just, whatever was left standing, they're all gone now. And that pretty much wrecked the rest of my season. And to add insult to injury, for the first time ever, I have had a massive possum problem. I have caught 7 possums in my yard so far. Normally these fig trees are loaded with figs at the top of them, and I'm able to harvest figs once the dry weather of October gets here, all the way until early November. It slows down a lot, but I'm still able to get a harvest. Well, these possums have been coming in one by one and systematically stripped all of my fig trees. I have caught and relocated 7 of them by now, but it's like they told the entire neighborhood, and it's just a conga line of possums coming in and just destroying everything. And to make things even worse, I just got back from a 3-day work trip to Pittsburgh. When I left, there were over 50 persimmons on this persimmon tree right here, and I had the whole thing wrapped up in chicken wire, which you probably can't see here. But while I was away, the possums got through the chicken wire and they picked every single persimmon off. I think there's 4 left on the tree now. So now I have chicken wire and insect netting desperately trying to protect my 4 lousy remaining persimmons. So a year's worth of work just gone in the 3 days I was gone. So if you have followed my channel for a while and you know me by now, you know that I talk all the time about how bad my seasonal affective disorder is, and my persimmon trees are one of those things that help me push through the fall, the darkest time of the year, because I really look forward to them. And now nature has taken away one of my favorite things of the fall that helps push me through: figs and persimmons. They're gone. I don't have them to look forward to anymore. So now I'm kind of in a bad way from a mental standpoint, and it has drained most of my energy that I use to basically keep me gardening throughout this time of year and kind of keep my hopes up, and now that's kind of all gone. So right now, I'm finding myself in one of those unwinnable situations where I'm darned if I do and I'm darned if I don't, because for my own mental health, I want to take a break right now and give my garden a rest to let me recover mentally from all of the problems of the year. But if I do that, then in a couple of months, I truly will have absolutely nothing growing out in my garden, and that would make me even sadder when wintertime comes and I really have the seasonal blues. So I've thought about this a lot, and I really think the best thing I can do is to try and just push through this rut and get myself to a point where the season slows down and I'm able to enjoy a reduced size garden during the winter. But in order to do that, I'm going to try something that I've never tried before. I'm trying a new method for me to get myself excited and motivated again. And I wanted to share this with you in case you're in a similar boat as mine. Maybe you've had a really bad year and you're just burnt out. You don't want to quit, but you feel like you have to. Maybe you can use this tool as motivation to push your way through, because I really genuinely think this may be able to get me excited again and rekindle my love for gardening all over again. Let me show you. In this seed starting tray right here, I have my first wave of fall garden transplants that I had intended to plant out into my garden this month. And this is the typical stuff that I plant out in my garden every single year. Romaine lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, things like that. I've been planting these things out in my garden every single fall for as long as I've lived in the state of North Carolina. Now, here is what I noticed. This fall, I decided to take a different approach with my YouTube channel, where I always tell people what they can plant every single month, but this time I dug really deep, and I showed you huge lists of things that you can plant out in your garden in case you wanted to diversify and grow new and interesting things. I just posted a video, 35 different crops that you can plant out in your garden in October. And let's be honest, none of us are planting 35 different things out in their garden in October. That's going to be too much for the average backyard gardener. My idea was to give you as many things to pick from as possible to challenge yourself and to excite yourself. And that's when it hit me. I plant the same 10 to 15 things out in my garden every single fall. Maybe I should take my own advice and try and excite myself by growing some of the very recommendations that I made. So this stuff, while they are staples in my garden, it's not exciting because I grow it every single year. So what I decided to do was I went out and I spent quite a bit of money on some very fancy seeds for some things that I have never grown before, because I want to excite myself again and try and rekindle my love affair with gardening. So I bought a whole bunch of different seeds from Johnny's, and believe it or not, I've actually never ordered anything from Johnny's Select Seeds before, so this is my first time I've ever actually ordered anything from them, but I want to open this and go through them with you and show you why I bought these seeds. I specifically bought these not with the intent to so much grow them, but to excite myself and try something new to get me back into gardening mode. Now, right away, just opening this package, I already feel like a kid at Christmas. This really, it just brings me back to childhood simplicity. This really does excite me at a very primal level. Let's see what we have in here. Okay, on this table in front of me, I have 9 different packets of seeds, and I think these may be the key to snap me out of this funk and back into gardening mode. Now, the first seeds that I want to share with you is something that I am very excited about, and it's not a fall crop. This is actually basil. Earlier this year, I showed you how to grow incredible basil plants. I'll drop a link down in the video description if you want a full tutorial on how to grow incredible basil. But then something happened. When we got all of the tropical humidity from the tropical storms, all of my beautiful, perfect basil plants got downy mildew disease from the extreme dew points. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Remember how gorgeous the basil plants were in this bed only about a month ago? Well, look at them now. What you see is downy mildew. It is something that often happens in late summer, early fall, when the temperatures just become right for the growth of the disease. And the overwhelming majority of basil varieties out there are susceptible to it. So obviously these basil plants did not have any resistance to downy mildew, so I basically lost all of my basil plants except for 2. This was the last plant to become infected, and you can still see remnants of the disease on it, but I soaked it down in liquid copper fungicide, and that was able to sort of stopped the disease and it is recovering a little bit, although it's nowhere near the gorgeousness it used to be. And my purple basil plant. The purple basil plants just tend to be a lot hardier, so it did survive, and again, I had to soak it in liquid copper fungicide, but I was able to rescue it. All my other basil plants except these two are dead. So I sprung into action and did two things. The first thing I did was I bought a cheap basil plant from the grocery store just to hold me over for the rest of the season. But then I researched downy mildew resistant varieties of basil. And there has been a new line called Prospera of Italian basil plants that have high genetic resistance to downy mildew. So I went out and I got myself two different varieties. A green variety that is basically identical to an Italian Genovese basil that has the built-in resistance, and then also a purple basil as well. So these were quite expensive, but if that is what it takes for me to have basil all year round, at least during the growing season when it's not frosting, well then that is what it takes. And I am really excited to try these out for next year already, even though I won't be putting these in the ground for probably another 3 or 4 months. But hey, it is something to look forward to. While I'm on a warm weather vegetable kick, I'm really excited to share this new variety of zucchini that I purchased as well. If you follow my channel, you know over the past few months I tried growing a parthenocarpic variety of zucchini called Sure Thing. It's supposed to set fruit without pollination, so that makes it ideal for growing in greenhouses where there are no pollinators. Now the reason why I grew that was I wanted to see if I could grow zucchini under insect netting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to make sure that they were completely free of the vine borer and squash bugs. And it was successful at keeping them 100% vine borer and squash bug free, but I didn't get a single female flower. I think the variety is just no good for my climate. I think it's geared more towards cooler summers. Unfortunately, it was a total bust and I got no fruit. So this variety called Dunja is supposed to be a heat-resistant zucchini that also is parthenocarpic. So next spring, I'm going to experiment with this variety and see if I can grow zucchini completely under insect netting with this variety right here. We're going to find out. And the last of the warm weather crops that I bought in this lot of seeds is a new seedless watermelon that I can't wait to try called Tropical Sunshine. Now this year I had my worst watermelon season ever. I started the plants 2 to 3 weeks later than usual, which was a disastrous mistake, and then July rolled in and we got so much rain all of a sudden that it gave all of the plants diseases and the plants started dying back. I had 2 watermelons that had produced. One of them was eaten by the possum and the other one just rotted away from all of the rain. So I got exactly 0 watermelons in my harvest this year. Well, I decided I'm going to make up for it next year. I'm going to try growing myself a seedless yellow, or orange rather, watermelon, and this seed was very expensive. They were $1 a seed, but according to Johnny's, this is the best of the orange seedless watermelons that they've ever had. And it also comes with a pollinator variety because seedless watermelons have to be pollinated by another variety, but I am very interested to try this and I want to make up for last season. Now we will actually move on to the new fall crops that I'm very excited about, and there are 4 of them. One of them is a green cabbage variety. Now I've been growing green cabbage for years, but I usually just buy one of the open pollinated or heirloom seeds off of the seed stands at big box stores, and the problem is that my location is just too humid for it. My green cabbage tends to get a lot of fungal diseases and I don't want to spray them. So I got myself an F1 hybrid called Primo Vantage because it's supposed to be very disease resistant. So what I have growing in this seed tray right now is the older open pollinated varieties of cabbage, but I'm going to try the hybrid in case I think I'll have a much better success rate with cabbage, because it really bums me out when it starts getting warmer in March and April and they just tend to rot. So hopefully I won't have that problem anymore. Now, I've been growing mustard greens for a couple of years now that I live in the South, and I have to say, I absolutely love them, and they're a ton of fun to grow. But just to amp things up a little bit, I got myself a red or purple mustard green. This is called Ms. America and is another F1 hybrid. I just love growing hybrids here in the South because they just tend to do a lot better, they tend to be more disease resistant, and they mature more quickly. And hey, how awesome would it be to have some purple mustard greens? I'll be able to make some pretty awesome soups and stews this winter, so I'm really excited about that. Now, the next two are completely new to me. They are species of plants that I have never grown before. Now, as an Italian American, we would make Italian wedding soup a couple of times every single winter, and we love that. And one of the primary ingredients in that is escarole, which is a chicory. Now, escarole, we don't use it a whole lot except when we make a soup like that, so we usually just run to the grocery store, and usually most very large grocery stores stock escarole. But I've been telling people over the past few videos what to plant this time of year, that this is an option because it is cold hardy, disease resistant, pest resistant because it's so bitter, and it's easy to grow. So you know what? I'm taking my own advice, and for the first time ever, I'm going to grow escarole out in my garden in late fall and into the winter. So I am really excited to grow this, and I can't wait to actually grow my own Italian wedding soup. And last but not least, I am growing, for the first time ever, a rutabaga. This is a variety called Eleanor, and I bought this because there's a very limited selection of rutabagas on most seed selling websites. I think Johnny's had 2, and this was the earliest of them. So I've never grown rutabagas before. I've never actually even eaten one, but from what I have done research on, they're basically a cross between a potato and a parsnip, or a potato and a carrot. So they're starchier than a carrot or a parsnip, but they're not as starchy as a potato. So if you can imagine them having the little bit of a sweetness of the carrot to sort of like what you could do with a potato. I'm really excited to bake with these. So what I see people do is they basically cube them, and then they mix them with salt and olive oil, and then they'll put them down on a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and then they will cook them just like they make potato wedges or something like that. So you will basically have them frying in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit in a little bit of olive oil with salt and pepper, and then I'll get myself rutabaga potatoes, as you may sometimes hear them called. So I am very excited to try all of these new things because they are either spin-offs on things that I love to grow that are either more disease resistant and will make my life a little bit easier, or they'll be a different color or a different flavor than I'm used to, or they will be flat out new species that I've never grown before. And just talking about this with you, it really gets me excited again to grow some new things. So I think this is exactly what I need to, you know, kind of kickstart me and get me out of this funk that I'm in right now. And I think if this is effective for me, I think growing something new in your garden every single fall, every single spring, every single summer, it can make your life a lot more interesting as well, and can really get you excited into gardening again. So today is October 5th, and if you are watching this right now, it's probably because you are a die-hard gardener that gardens year-round, or at least gardens as deep into the fall as your climate will allow. Or you are a gardener that for the first time wants to try growing in the fall and the winter. And to all of you, I say good on you for doing that. It is truly a wonderful thing to do. In many ways, it is a lot better than summer gardening. But that being said, because I am probably predominantly talking to lifelong gardeners right now that have been growing for 15, 20, 25, maybe 30 years or longer, I imagine if you're growing the exact same things every single year, it'd make it a little bit boring and monotonous, and over time you may sort of lose your excitement to gardening again if you grow constantly the same things over and over again, especially if you don't at least switch out varieties. So if that sounds like you and you're looking for something to flare up your passion and rekindle your love for gardening, try doing what I'm doing this year. Grow some new varieties, grow some new colors, grow some new species all together, and bring you back to a state of mind when gardening was brand new and exciting to you again. I really thought that this would do something positive to kind of kickstart me and rekindle my love for gardening again, but I'm telling you, just making this video, it kind of makes me giddy and exciting, excited like I'm 6 or 7 years old again and I'm going underneath the Christmas tree on Christmas morning. So no matter what your situation is, whether you're new to gardening or you've been gardening for decades, I just recommend that you always try and keep it exciting. Always challenge yourself. Always be ready to learn something new. Always be ready to grow something new, because it just makes it a lot more fun. And at the end of the day, while there are a million practical reasons to gardening, it really comes down to having fun and enjoying living, because you have to enjoy life, folks. That's all I have to say. So everybody, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you're notified when I release more videos like these. Doing those things really helps spread my channel and my videos to a wider audience. So if you could do those things, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it. If you have ever found yourself in a gardening funk that you have dug yourself out of, please let us know how you accomplished that. We would love to learn from you. I know I would love to learn from you and use those tools to help me in the future when I invariably feel this way again. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in real life in my garden, I have them all linked down in the video description in my Amazon storefront link. So expand the video description, click on the Amazon link, and you'll see everything I use in real life. And while you're down there, please check out my spread shop for custom merchandise if you want to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.
Oh, Deli, we have a special treat for you tonight for dessert. Ooh, we have a frozen yogurt, homemade frozen bone, and a little bit of cinnamon plain yogurt. And I know a certain somebody that can't wait to sink his teeth in. He's being so good and he's being so patient. Hold on. Now Dale is always very good. He waits for permission and he gives you the longest longing eyes you've ever seen. He's saying, "Oh, Daddy, I'm so starving. Oh, just look at me. Oh, I'm wasting away." Okay. He's so good. Look at this goodin'. I'm so lucky to have this handsome boy.